this wheel off, pull this coilover out, and pop the new one on. We're gonna switch down to a 5K rear spring. It should work quite well. All right, so we got the car back on the scales because not only are we double checking our scale numbers, right down there, but we are also going to swap the rear BC coilovers for a softer spring setup because we're going drag racing tomorrow. So we wanted to get a little extra squat out of the car. We already have a good amount with the stuff that we have. Car, get some good dig, get some good lean, and that's what we want in drifting. But since we're going drag racing, we're going to take it down one more, a little notch on the belt, if you will, and going down to a 5K spring, so pretty soft, and that's really just going to allow the car to like really dig the back end down, transfer the weight to the rear tires, give a little extra forward drive, and it should be fine on the straightaway because in drift, when you're that soft, you're really leaning on the one tire mostly. So when you're in the drift and you have that soft of a spring, it's really just going to cave that tire up and into the wheel well. So, but when you're just going straight line, it's going to be good. First things first, before I pull it off, I just wanted to rescale it. I know we have done this in the past, but you'll see my cross is way off the charts. I'm not in the car, but that will change. So let me just go ahead and hop in the car and see what that number goes to. We're just going to move this within eyesight. So I'm going to hop in the car because that matters. Okay, so now I'm in here. Boop. Zoom in on her. I'm looking at 29.21. That's really good. So it's 21 pounds over the minimal. I'm not full of fuel, so I do have to double check that. But that is straight in the center of the car. So I'm going to double check that real quick, double check my cross, and readjust that and get this thing looking real good. See, one thing I forgot to do, and I've forgotten this in the past, but I did just remember, you have to disconnect your sway bars. Because if your sway bars are attached, there's gonna be a little bit of load pushing up on one of those tires, so you're not getting the full true weight on each corner. So, best part about doing corner weights, do everything a bunch of times. Other thing you gotta do is set your tire pressures. Tire pressures have to be even, because that will affect your corner weight. So, trying to see what we have for rear coilovers. 4s, huh? Ooh, that might be a bit much. 4s and 4s. These are, here we go. 5s. Now we're talking. We're gonna switch down to a 5K rear spring. It should work quite well. A pretty soft setup, like I said. So we gotta do to set our ride heights. So first you have your bottom bracket adjustment, and we have that bottomed out, as you can see. Still with a little bit of movement on the hose, just barely enough room. So we get maximum stroke on the top end, because these are very short coilovers, unlike a S13 or 1415, like any of those cars. Most of the newer chassis have a very short coilover body, so you have very little stroke. So we're trying to get as much stroke as possible out of this setup. And so, like, it looks like we have a lot, right? It looks like we have like 6 inches or so, but when you sit the car down, the car's gonna compress almost 2/3 of that away. Ideally, when you're working in a short stroke system, like you only have so much travel, you wanna be just over half on your, how do you call it? You wanna be going just over half on your overall travel, just when you settle the car down. So your droop, you have 2/3 droop, 1/3 of bump. So 1/3 of compression, on the shock itself, and then 2/3 of lift, because ideally if you're hitting a bump in the road or you're racing or you go over a curb, if you have very little droop, like when the car comes up, when this tire goes to drop down, like see how much wheel well gap I have here? If we had this all like packaged up the other way and this tire only drooped a 1/2 inch, that means if this car comes more than a 1/2 inch off the ground, you're already losing weight on the tire and grip and traction. So you want as much droop as you can allow on the car without sacrificing your bump. And so in a short stroke situation, like I'm saying, you're basically like 1/3, 2/3. With that being said, I'm gonna pull this wheel off, pull this coilover out, and swap the new one on. To adjust your coilover, first thing, of course, pull the wheel off. Sometimes you don't have to if you got a lot of drip, but I'll show you basically how you would change your cross so that you can get the car back to 50-50. Like I showed you, we were at 52.7. So to adjust that cross, because like I've said before, you can't physically move weight around each corner with just the springs. All you're really trying to do is get that cross back to 50-50. And so what that does is when your cross is at 50, the car feels the same left and right. And that is ideal for when you are, in a drift car. People with, oval track cars, things like that, where they're only turning left, they'll set the cars up differently where it's, more jacked to the one side, so it has more or less grip for the left turn. But for drifting, you want that thing to be even so the car feels the same. So the fact that mine was 52.7, that's far too much. So we're going to adjust that out. And how you do that is you knock loose this lower perch spring. Bring that down. And take your other end, or you can do it by hand since we have some, a little soft on the helper here. And you can adjust it by hand. So take this right rear and we'll rotate this in. Just give that a go, sit it back down, see where your numbers go so that you're not chasing your tail. So we're trying to bring that 52.7 back down to 50. Now we lower it back down. It's not just a quick one and done type of thing. Oh, come on, fat girl. Okay. Well, see, I went the wrong way. We went from 53 to 53.7. So that means that I'm going the opposite direction. So I have to back that side back out and put it into this side, which makes sense. This is what happens when you're thinking about what you're doing. I'm gonna unwind this side. Yeah, let's watch that number go the other way. It's not gonna be all the way, but you will see what I mean by adjusting those perches. 52.9, oh geez, settle back down. Hang on, looks like we gotta go a bunch more than that. So you can see what I mean by when you're scaling the car, you are just slowly adjusting the corners and you wanna just kind of pick one side and the other so that you're not just going back and forth and back and forth. So for us, that's gonna be spinning up that right side, spinning down this left side, spinning up this front left, or spinning down this front right. That's what gives you that cross. It's always important after you get your coilovers, I know they're brand new and they're sweet and they're pretty, and you wanna just put them on and slam your car to the ground and never look at them again. But it's important to get over to someone that has corner weight scales so you can sit here and play with these numbers so that you can get the car to push down on that 50-50 for the cross. Because that's very important. That is what you want your car to do. That's what you want it to say, because that's what's gonna make it feel the same left and right. So if you're ever in your car and you wonder why the car wants to spin out to the left but not to the right, yeah, it's not because you are left-handed or right-handed. It's probably because your coilovers are dialed in wrong. So get that fixed, get that dialed in, and your car will drive much, much better. So good luck with that. I'm gonna finish this off with chucking in these 5s and get ready for some drag racing. On this install is that I just found out that I have my new favorite tripod, which is the top side of this. Hey. Out. Pop this guy in. And that's it. So now we can go through and double check. These are a little loose, so we'll set it back down on scales. Recheck our corner weight again. Make sure it's back to 50-50. And that's all you need to do. Don't forget to lock down your rings. Let's fire this baby up.